hello. Yes, cool. So, I wanted to ask you to begin with, is it me or has life ratcheted up a notch? Hello? Oh my God, everybody is going through some kind of uncertainty. The world seems like it's uncertain. You might be going through some kind of uncertainty. And I think it's as though the universe is saying, the grace period is now over. Right? The grace period is now over. You know that you have this inner voice. You know that you have this genius inside you. You know that you have this love. We've been studying this. We know this. It's time for us to live it. Right? Thank you. It's time for us to really live it. I think the way that I think about it is the universe is saying, you know what, you have gifts, you have a mission, you have dreams, you have something to bring here, and it's time to get out of our heads and be led, right? So that's what I know, and if you're going through any kind of uncertainty right now, what I want you to know is that there is already a path inside you. Even though it seems scary and you feel uncertain, there is a path in you. And the way that we get to that path is we listen moment by moment to what's whispering to us. So I'm going to ask you, what stops us from listening to our own inner voice? What stops us? Because if you're not listening to your inner voice, you are listening to somebody else. Who are you listening to? Right? It could be the voice of the media that you're listening to. It could be the voice of education that you're listening to. It could be the voice of a parent. Many of you know my story, but I'll share a little bit again. I was listening to my mother. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Yes, thank you, New York, to an Orthodox Jewish family. Who would not be happy I was standing here, by the way. And I knew when I was young that I wanted to write. I had this dream, I wanted to be a writer. I took creative writing in high school, and I fell in love with writing, and the teacher was gorgeous. So I thought, oh my God, this is a sign. This is an absolute sign. This is my calling. So I went home to share this great news with my family. And my mother, I basically could have said, I found my calling, I want to start a meth lab. I found my calling, I want to sell my body to the knights. Because in my mother's mind, drug addicts, prostitutes, and creative people, you're all going to live under the same bridge, right? So my mother said something like, you're going to write? You're going to write? You're going to starve, you're going to write. And that was the go for your dreams talk I got. That was the go for your dreams talk. My mother, being a very reasonable woman, said something like, what, you can't get a job? You'll write on the Sundays. And many of us got that same exact advice, didn't we? Don't do what you love. Don't do what moves you. Don't do what rocks your soul. Stay safe. Stay practical. And what I want you to know right now is there is no safety in staying safe. There is no safety in staying safe. There is no safety in holding back our genius, in holding back what your soul wants you to do. That's never safe. But I didn't know that at that time, and I went off to law school, and I went to Harvard Law School and graduated with honors from Harvard Law School. My mother was very, very proud. She was bragging in every synagogue for all she was worth. She was like, oh, my little girl, I don't want to tell you. Let me tell you. And haven't you had a situation where maybe your life looked right to other people, but it didn't feel right to you? Right? You've had that situation. So that's what happened to me. I was practicing law, I was on partnership track, and I just kept feeling empty. I kept feeling broken. I was scared. That, by the way, is sometimes how Spirit's calling you, is when you feel broken and you feel scared. And thank God, a friend of mine at the time said, think about it. If you've been this successful doing what you don't love, what could you do with what you love? And I just thought, I need to find out You know, I need to know where this voice would go. I decided I want to listen to that inner voice and see where it takes me, right? Because I'd pushed it down, but I'd never listened to it. So I left my career without a plan, without money, without anything, which, by the way, now qualifies me to be an expert in thriving through uncertainty, right? And so that's what I want to talk to you about, is thriving through uncertainty, because at this point I do coaching now, and I do workshops all over the country, and I do coaching, and I work with entrepreneurs and people in health situations and leaders and visionaries, anybody who pays me, really. You know, and what I get asked all the time is, but Tama, I don't know how. I don't know how. I don't know how to get from A to B to C to D. I don't know how. And what I will say to you is that this is not a linear path. This is not a linear path. This is an inspired path. And I teach this to all my clients. I would tattoo it on their foreheads if I could. You can't plan an inspired life. You can't plan this life. By definition, it's beyond our imagination. It's inspired. It's unimaginable. It's coming from the deepest part of your dreams and your soul, right? So I want to talk a little bit about that, about what an inspired life might look like. I'm going to give you my best example of it. For me, it was the thing that completely changed my life. Well, after I left law, I banged around trying to figure out what I wanted to do. What I really wanted to do was write a book, right? And so I started writing this book. It took me 12 years to write my first book. This Time I Dance, Creating the Work You Love. It took me 12 years to write my first book. I know many people hear that and think, I liked her until she said that. I don't have that kind of time for anything, 12 years, right? But what I always tell people is it really took me 11 years to heal, to learn, to undo what was in the way, to trust this universe, to trust this love that we can't see, to trust spirit, to believe in myself. That's what took 11 years, and it took 1 year to write a book, right? Right? Thank you. And so if any of you are feeling like, oh my God, things take so long, and why are things taking so long? It's because you are doing so much. We are the ones. We're the ones who are awakening. We're the ones who are undoing conditioning. We're going beyond the societal norm. We're doing so much. And many times you think, well, I'm not doing enough, or I'm not getting there. We are doing so much all at once. Right? So after I finished writing this book, after 12 years, I thought, I want to get it published, but I don't know how. I don't know how you do that. So I researched commercial publishing and self-publishing and all this stuff. And I just kept hearing this inner voice. And it kept saying, just put it in the river. Just put it in the river. And I didn't know what that meant. Like, I don't know if you know what that means. It's like, for me, it was like, it's hard enough to hear inner guidance. And then now it's speaking in metaphors, and I live in Denver, Colorado. There are no rivers. So I'm thinking, oh, please, God, don't tell me it's not asking me to put my manuscript in the water but I knew intuitively it meant just put the book out there some way, somehow, and it would go where it needed to go, right? That it would go where it needed to go. But have you ever done that thing where you're asking spirit for advice? Like, just tell me anything. Just tell me anything. I want to know anything. And then you hear an answer, it's like, just tell me something else, anything else. Can I have the lucrative answer, please? Right? Because it scared me, the thing of like, I thought this means I need to self-publish this book, which means I need to print it myself. I knew nothing about marketing. I knew nothing about distribution. I'm putting my own money into it now. It's like, I don't want to do this. But I thought, okay, I'm going to follow this voice. And the second you decide that you are going to follow this voice, you will meet the most judgmental person. 2 seconds later, guaranteed. I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I went to an ex-boyfriend's house for a Passover dinner, and I sat down next to this woman, and she was my mother on steroids. So she is drinking wine all night, And she starts grilling me and going, so you're gonna publish a book? You're gonna put your own money into this? You don't know anything about marketing? Oh, you're very ambitious. Which is code for, you're a nut. Step away from my kids, right? And so I didn't know anything. I had never really related to the Passover ceremony before that much. I didn't know that much about it. It's all about the exodus of the Jews. I got it that night. It was like, oh my God, let my people go. Let my people go. I got it. Oh my God, let my people go. And so, because I thought, what am I going to tell this woman? Don't worry, I have a plan. I am going to put it in a river, right? Don't worry, I have a plan. Or don't worry, I'm listening to an inner voice. It's very nice, right? You know how like in rooms like this, we comfort ourselves, we're listening to an inner voice, we feel good about that, we tell each other about it. You talk to somebody normal, not so much, right? So I will cut to the chase. I finally decided to publish this book. It started spreading through word of mouth. It hit a bestseller list in Denver. It was spreading through word of mouth. And 4 months after I self-published, the most amazing thing happened. I got an email out of the blue that literally said, your fairy godmother has arrived. Your fairy godmother has arrived. If you got an email like that, wouldn't you think it was spam? Right? You'd think it was spam. You would think, I'm going to open it up and it's going to be, Russian girls are waiting for you. There's money for you in Nairobi. Give us your credit card number. Right? But I thought it was spam. I opened it up and it was from a vice president of marketing and publicity for Random House. Yeah. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And she was going through a meltdown, a career transition, and she had somehow found my self-published book on Amazon, and she wrote to me and said, this is the best book I have ever read on finding your calling, on doing your dreams. I want to get it to a major New York house. I want to get it to a major New York publisher, which for me is like saying, I want you to meet God now, She got it to the publisher I'd always dreamed of. It was Tarcher, part of Penguin, part of Random House. She got it to the president of the company, and they bought the book. They bought the book that I'd spent 12 years doing with I didn't have an agent, a contract, a publisher, right? I listened to that inner voice. They bought the book. Not only did they buy the book, they kept it exactly the same. Exactly the same. They kept the title, they kept the writing the same, they edited a little bit. They put purple ink in it because I had purple in it. I didn't know what I was doing, and so as an unknown author, I would never have started off at that level had I followed the conventional plan. If I had done what you're supposed to do, what everybody else tells you what to do, I would never have started off there. That's what I mean when I say you can't plan an inspired life. I couldn't figure out, I'm going to have a meltdown for 12 years. Some other woman's going to have a meltdown, at the end of 12 years, and we are going to meet up. And that is my business plan. That's my business plan, right? Of like what bank is going to go, oh, that sounds really good to us, Miss Kieves, right? What I want you to know as you're listening is that you have an inspired path. This is not just my story. This is our story. That no matter what you're going through right now, there is an inspired path within us. And if we listen to what's whispering to us in this moment, it leads us to the next moment and the next. So I always used to end with that story because it's my best story, it's my really cool story. But I want to talk to you more about thriving through uncertainty. Because what happens for many of us is we think, well, once you get the book deal, it'll be okay. Once you get the check that comes in, it'll be okay. Once you get the health diagnosis comes back and it's okay, you'll be okay. Right? Once you meet the love of your life, it will be okay. Once you can get rid of who you thought was the love of your life, it will be okay. You feel me. We are always putting our happiness somewhere else. We're always putting it down there. We're always putting it somewhere else. Thriving is about being here. Thriving is about being in this moment because the spiritual life is right here in this moment. So I have a concept in my book, Thriving Through Uncertainty, about a video game. And what it talks about is, have you ever had the situation where you're dealing with an issue and you think, how am I dealing with this again? Right? Have you ever had that, like, you're in the same fear again, you thought you healed it, you thought you did all kinds of things about it and it was gone, and then you're dealing with the same fear or the same kind of pattern again? Please tell me you've had that issue. Thank you. I was thinking, oh my God, I am alone. And so sometimes you think you're going backwards, right? But you're really going forward. Because in the video game, it's as though you've done it at a certain level, and now you've moved up to the next level. And you've moved up to the next level, and at the next level, the question is still the same. Will you listen to the love inside you, or will you listen to fear? Will you listen to the love inside you at this level, or will you listen to fear, right? And because at the next level, it's like things got harder. The rules changed. The boss got meaner, right? The situation changed on you because we're at the next level. That's how it's supposed to work. So I'm going to give you an example of that for me. How this worked for me at one point was when my second book came out, Inspired and Unstoppable. I was in one of those situations behind the scenes where I wanted to get everything right. I just wanted to get it right. I'd felt like I hadn't done the marketing right or what you're supposed to do with other things. And this time I was like determined, I'm gonna get this right. I'm gonna nail it this time, right? But everything started falling apart. Behind the scenes, everything started to falling apart. I had an assistant who just happened to go off the rails at that moment. And all the deadlines we had, we started missing deadlines. All the opportunities we started missing. My partner got very, very sick. And so he fell out of things. And it was just like behind the scenes, everything was getting really, really scary. And I was getting really nervous, like this deadline is coming, a book is coming out. I'm supposed to be doing things. And I am freaking out. I am just freaking out. If you'd met me at a party, I'm like, hi, I'm Tama. Which is very, very attractive, especially in a self-help author. Especially in a self-help author writing a book, Inspired and Unstoppable. Right? Like, so I felt like a nut. And my friend at the time said, oh my God, you are a nut. You need to see somebody. You need to see this healer. And so I thought, okay, when you're crazy, you'll just do whatever, right? And so I went to see this healer. I knew nothing about this healer. I'm driving to the mountains to see the healer. And I meet the healer, and the healer is in a yurt. The healer is in a yurt. I'm from New York City. I know nothing from yurts. A yurt, by the way, is a round tent. Right? And so I'm already nervous. So I go meet the healer in the yurt, and we sit in the yurt, and she starts saying, what would you like to heal? What would you like to heal? I am crazy at this point. I am in my New York City mind. I'm like, I want to heal this, and this, and this, and this. And I'm sure that poor, poor healer thought, oh my God, there is not enough sage on the planet. I am never going to be able to cleanse this space ever. I'm gonna have to move. Right? So she, though, said, you know what, we're gonna do a ritual. We're gonna do a ritual. Let's get leaf here. And she takes me on her property, and there's this beautiful stream on her property, and she has me stand in the center of the stream. And then she says, I want you to look this way. And all the water's rushing by and rushing by and rushing by. And she said, everything that's rushing by, those are all the opportunities you lost. Those are the things you could have done and should have done and would have done. And it's rushing by and rushing by. And she's like, oh, that idea that you were going to use, oh, look, somebody else is doing it. They're making $1 million. And that thing you were going to do, oh, that's a bestseller for somebody else. It's rushing by and rushing by. And she asks me, how do you feel right now? And at first I think, like, maybe I should have hired a different healer because this is not helping. But she's like, what do you feel? And it's rushing by these opportunities and that opportunity. And I start feeling like, I feel like it's out of control. It's all out of control. It's out of control. And finally I realize it's out of my control. And I have this moment of incredible self-forgiveness because I realize it's out of my control and I'm doing what I can do. And I'm doing what I can do. And it was just this moment of incredible self-forgiveness. And then she has me turn this way, and the stream is coming and coming and coming at me and rushing. And she said, this is the universe. This is the love that is coming to you, and new opportunities, and new people, and new chances, and new things coming and coming. And she said, do you think it's ever gonna stop? And I'm like, no, it's not. And I realized in that moment that it's not our past that creates the future. It's not our past that creates the future. It's this present moment. Right now, in this present moment, that's where we can thrive. And so I think we have an opportunity in this amazing, amazing house, in this amazing community. We have an opportunity together to hold this energy and to be in this moment and to say, I'm gonna open up again. I'm gonna open up again, right? Because I'd been so busy worrying about what I didn't do, should have done, could have done, that I wasn't available to what was possible. And so there might be a place in you where you feel hard inside, or you feel angry, or you feel frustrated, or you feel scared, or you've stopped believing that things could work out. And for me, we have this opportunity to open up and say, you know what? I'm willing to open again. I'm willing to try again. I'm willing to listen to my spirit again and to give spirit another chance and myself another chance. So I want to read you something from my book, Thriving Through Uncertainty. In this particular passage, I'm talking about a concept. I'm talking again about the video game, but I'm also talking about a concept from A Course in Miracles. And there is a line in the Course in Miracles that says, who you think you are is a belief to be undone. Who you think you are is a belief to be undone. You may think, oh, I'm too young, I can't do this. I'm too old, I can't do this. I should have done that thing in 2005. I can't do this. This isn't right. Who you think you are is a belief to be undone. Because every single one of us has that light in us. And every single one of us is an answer at this time. And we are in a world that needs your answers and your peace and your love and your radiance. Right? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for being here and being the people who are going to do that, who are doing that every single day. So I'm going to just read you this passage. Again, it's talking about the video game. And it says, this is the magic of practice. It gets better. We become more fluid with each limit we surpass. How will you practice? How will you devote yourself to thriving? A Course in Miracles teaches that who you think you are is a belief to be undone. You think you can be stopped. You think you can be diminished. You think you can fail. But that's the game. You can never lose. You already have everything you need. You have this crazy alchemical love within you, and it's yours to give in any situation, which changes every situation and even changes you as you give it. You do not walk alone. Will you choose to listen to the disconnected, smallest version of yourself, or the highest allegiance of your spirit? You have a choice. Choose love. Choose again. Choose now. Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. So I want to just end with my favorite quote of all time. It's attributed to Jesus and the Gnostics. You may have heard it. And it says, if you bring forth that which is within you, that which is within you will save you. If you do not bring forth that which is within you, that which is within you will destroy you. It's a little gift of guilt from my people. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for being here. Thank you. I just want to make a quick announcement while I'm here before we go into the meditation. We're going to go into a meditation and take this a little deeper. But if you can join me for the workshop this afternoon at 1:30 to 3:30, Thriving Through Uncertainty, we're going to make this real. We're going to unpack this. If you've got any uncertainty, you want answers, you want movement, you want to feel like you know what you're here to do in this moment, please join us. There is nothing like gathering together. It will be very interactive. We'll be doing exercises. I'll be using some of my coaching techniques. It's an amazing, amazing experience. I've gone around the country doing this. It's incredible what happens. So please join us. I know some of you might think, well, I have plans or whatever. It's like, you can't plan an inspired life, right? You might need to be here. So if you need to come late, come late. You need to leave early, leave early. Just get some of it if you can. The other thing I'll mention too is I am doing some coaching sessions while I'm here. They're really discounted. They're private one-on-ones. If you want to work with me on anything, please talk to us or register. While I'm here, I'm doing it today and also some tomorrow. So, the other thing is join me at the table. If you're watching online, make sure you get on my mailing list. We do free fortune cookies that come out all the time to keep you inspired and ignited. Also free classes and all kinds of great stuff. So make sure you get on my mailing list and join me. We're creating a global community of people who are daring to live from love instead of fear. And I also just want to thank all of you. I want to thank Unity North, because it takes a lot to bring in a speaker. It takes a lot to organize this. Unity North does so much, and it is such a privilege. So please, please support your community. It's an amazing. I walked into this place, I almost cried. You know, I really did. It's almost like you're just home, you know. The love that was here, I was just greeted. It's an amazing place. So I really, 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 I'm grateful to be here. So I will